Welcome back to Tao of Twang. I'm Dave. We're going to have some fun with this one today. It's part 2 of our 3-part series on intermediate improvisation skills. The first one was subtitled, and on the thumbnail it says, Creating an Open Improv Space. Okay, and we did that by just kind of learning the progression in part 1 and then using this bucket of notes. We didn't give it a name. We just I put it up. Here's the diagram for it. I'll show you. It was kind of funny. And there were some clever comments about this. Didn't have a name, didn't have any roots, indicated on it or anything or whatever. I enjoyed some of the sarcasm. But I'm sticking to my guns on this. And here's why, because if we use this as a warm up, which we will here in just a second, if we start at different places, we could label it all sorts of different things, right? If I went from B to B, we could call that B natural minor. If I went from D to D, of course, your ear recognizes that one, right? D major. What if I started on E? E Dorian. Okay. So you get the idea. We're not going to, pick this apart all day. But, the point is that you don't have to worry about it. What you want to do is get in there and swim in that pool of those notes and get your ear acclimated to that, right? And I know that sounds a little, loosey-goosey, but it can happen, man. But you got to do it. You got to just open yourself up to letting that happen. It won't happen all at once. But after a while, you look at that diagram and you kind of just experiment with it. Then all of a sudden, you're like, you hit one that's not on there and you know it. Your ear knows it. It's not because you're not playing the pattern right? Your ear becomes the judge. It's very important. So our chords are E minor, B minor, A major. You hold the A. Okay. So let's use this bucket of notes to warm up with here and just, get loose. Okay, so there at the end, I kind of switched over to minor pentatonic, right? In the 7th position, B minor pentatonic. Now, right away, one thing we can note here is that the notes in that B minor pentatonic are all of them included in that bucket of the 7 notes, right? So now that's 5 pentatonic. So there's only 2 that aren't in common between the 2 things, right? So you don't have to stop what you're doing and analyze all of that right now, but that's good news, right? Maybe you don't have to memorize quite as much as you thought you did with some of this stuff. And it sort of demystifies it a little bit, hopefully. Hopefully it doesn't just, get folks more confused or whatever. I guess we'll see in the comments. But what we're going to do now is take kind of a blues scale minor pentatonic approach to this and limit ourselves to using those notes and just kind of warm up like that. that was just a warm up. And, take it easy when you're warming up and when you're just kind of, each stage of this kind of process, immerse yourself in it, right? Don't, you know, e- have a musical experience and then start to unpack it and kind of look into it and consider what's going on and what we can do differently and what we can add to it, right? Rather than the other way around where like we, try to copy that lick from the tab like the second that the lesson starts and we're already like chasing something that's not in context sometimes, right? So, and you don't need a lecture about all of that right now, but settle into each stage of it, and I think you'll see results start to happen. It just takes a little bit of, buying into this sort of program. So one of the things that I think is really worth spending a minute or two on here is this idea of the pickup lines or anticipating the downbeat. Okay, and ultimately we want to aim for certain notes sometimes and things when we do that. So there's two aspects of it to it: the cadence, or like kind of the way it fits into the groove, the rhythm of it, and the placement of it, the phrasing, and then the melodic choices that go along with it. And that's a lot. So, again, take one element of it at a time. And let's go talk about the timing for just a second. So, when this comes back around, I'll anticipate the downbeat of the first chord, the E minor. Hear that? You can almost just let that ring over like several measures. I'll do it again. Here's one for the A. Right? Okay. Now, some of those were better than others, right? Those destination notes, right? A couple of them were kind of like, that's sounded more like a passing note, or just kind of bent it and kept on going, but when it felt really good, you see how I just dug in and like let those notes really hang and sound out. And one of the ones that it turns out I think sounds good is for the A is that note right there, E. It's the fifth of that A major triad. Okay. I like to go to the third. I love that sound, right? Ending on that. But staying true to the rules of the game that I created for myself, I'm only using minor pentatonic right now, right? So ultimately, of course, we'll combine all of these things. We'll get to use whatever notes we want. So for right now, I like what happens when I restrict myself to those more blues scale notes, because I have to do more bending and it just changes the way that I'm addressing the piece with my phrasing and stuff. And that's cool. Is if I release that into the seven note thing a little bit here and there as we go, it really starts to sound like more of a composition. It's something like this. See? Kind of a cool sound. And this is a fun progression to kind of experiment with this style over where you've got a lot of blues licks in there, and that, when you kind of pull them out and expose them like that, they sound real bluesy, but in that groove cadence of that backing track, they sound a little slicker, right? only other thing I want to show you is I'm just going to do this kind of slowly. Is show you some of the positions and like kind of the moves to get from one position to another, mostly related to the minor pentatonic. Okay. Right. Up here, here, that lick, same thing here. You get a different voicings and notes, but the move is the same. Same notes as okay. Now, we're going to save some of this for part 3 when we really start putting this together and we talk more about kind of the end game of our phrasing and target notes and stuff. But you got 2 things here to kind of keep going with in the experimental stage, right? And this is important that you really entertain this and immerse yourself in it. So, pentatonic. Okay, and that diatonic scale, right? Whatever you want to call it, whatever you come up with, I'm okay with it. So a lot of that was, in the demonstration form, right? I didn't show you, play this lick, then play this lick, and that's okay, right? Watch it a couple of times, go step by step with the experimentation, and you watch. That sound will start emerging, and your phrasing will start to take shape, and your ear will start to be drawn to those nice magnetic tones. And we're going to talk more about the nature of that and why some of those notes sound really good in part 3. Let me know how this goes. I'll talk to you soon.